You have reached a certain age where you believe you know the geography of your own pain. You think that heavy sensation in your calves at sunset is just the weight of a long day. You believe the slight swelling around your ankles, the way the elastic of your socks leaves a deep, red canyon in your skin, is merely a souvenir of time. But I am here to tell you that the body never simply gets old. It decays, often because we have forgotten how to fuel the very pipes that keep our lifeblood moving. Against the relentless pull of the earth, there's an invisible sign, a silent precursor that most doctors overlook in a 10-minute consultation. And it has nothing to do with your heart rate or your cholesterol. It is the death of your second heart. When this secret fails, your legs don't just feel tired, they begin to drown from the inside out. Tonight, we will uncover the green secret, a clinical protocol that acts as a biological jumper cable for your circulation. We will discuss the one habit that can restore your vascular youth, and why the retirement tragedy, the act of spending your hard-earned wealth to buy back the health you allowed to slip away, is a fate you can still avoid. Hello, and welcome back to the Senior Health Doctor. In today's video, we will cover the green secret to energizing your legs after 50. Before we start, if you enjoy our content, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'd also love to hear from you. Drop a comment below telling me your age and which city or country you are watching from. To understand why your legs feel like lead, we must look at the chain of decay. This is not a single event. It is a mechanical and chemical collapse that takes decades to mature. It begins with a mechanical error, the failure of the venous valves. Imagine, if you will, your veins as a series of one-way trapdoors. Their only job is to allow blood to fight gravity and climb back up to your heart. But as we cross the threshold of 50, these doors begin to warp. They become leaky. This mechanical failure leads to the first stage of cellular stress, hydrostatic stasis. Because the blood cannot climb effectively, it begins to pool. Your veins are not designed to hold stagnant blood. They are transit tunnels, not reservoirs. When blood sits still, it becomes a chemical inflammatory bath. The oxygen is stripped away, and in its place, metabolic waste, lactic acid, carbon dioxide, and cellular debris begins to accumulate. This is what I call acidosis of the extremities. Your tissues are literally marinating in their own exhaust. This acidic environment triggers the release of cytokines, the body's chemical alarm bells. These cytokines attack the endothelial lining, the ultra-thin, Teflon-like coating inside your blood vessels. Once this lining is damaged, it can no longer produce the most important molecule in human longevity, nitric oxide. Without nitric oxide, your vessels lose their elastic memory. They become rigid, like old, sun-baked garden hoses. They can no longer dilate to allow more blood through when you walk. Instead, they remain constricted, choking off the very muscles that are trying to move you forward. As this chemical bath continues, we reach the stage of nerve ischemia. Your nerves are the most oxygen-hungry tissues in your body. When the surrounding fluid is stagnant and acidic, the tiny blood vessels that feed your nerves, the vasa nervorum, shut down. This is why you feel that phantom tingling, that crawling sensation, or the sudden, sharp electrical stabs in the middle of the night. Your nerves are screaming because they are suffocating. Finally, we arrive at the structural collapse, when the fluid pressure inside your veins becomes too high. The liquid part of your blood, the plasma, is forced out of the vessel and into the surrounding flesh. This is the edema you see in your ankles. This fluid isn't just water, it's a protein-rich sludge that creates pitting. If you press your thumb into your shin and the dent stays there, you are witnessing the structural collapse of your interstitial space. Your legs have become a leaking battery. The electrical signals from your brain are muffled by the swelling. The chemical energy is depleted by the lack of oxygen, and the physical structure is being weighed down by a swamp of trapped fluid. This is not old age. This is a failure of fluid dynamics. We have treated the body as a static object, forgetting that we are a hydraulic miracle that requires constant internal pressure management. If you do not provide the nitric oxide required to open these pipes, You are essentially trying to run a high-performance engine with a blocked fuel line. The green secret is the only way to flush this system before the invisible chart reaches the point of no return. Let me tell you about a man named Elias. Elias was a master carpenter, a man whose hands had shaped oak and mahogany for 40 years. He came to my office at 72, not because he was sick, but because he was frustrated. He told me, "Doctor, my legs feel like they belong to a stranger. They are heavy, unresponsive, like I'm wading through waist-deep mud every time I try to walk to my mailbox." Elias was a victim of the invisible chart. For a decade, he felt fine. He ignored the subtle cues, the way his skin began to take on a brownish, bruised tint around the shins, what we call hemosiderin staining. He ignored the fact that his leg hair had vanished, leaving his skin shiny and cold, a sign that the microcirculation was already retreating, abandoning the surface to save the core. He thought he was simply slowing down, but on his 3 a.m. wake-up call, the reality set in. He woke up with a cramp so violent it felt as if an invisible hand were wringing his calf muscle, like a wet rag. This wasn't just a cramp, it was a vascular riot. His muscles were starving. In the dark of his bedroom, Elias realized his retirement, the years he promised his wife they would spend walking the cobblestone streets of Europe, was being liquidated. He was spending his functional reserve just to make it from the bed to the bathroom. His legs had become a torture rack. When I looked at his clinical history, I saw the chain of decay in its final stages. His veins were no longer vessels, they were overstretched, stagnant marshes. His battery was dead. The tragedy of Elias is the tragedy of millions. We spend our youth trading health for wealth, only to find that in our golden years, no amount of money can easily fix a rusted vascular system. But there is a way back from the edge of the abyss. The neutral reset protocol is our method for reclaiming the territory lost to time. It is a two-pronged assault, a chemical infusion followed by a mechanical awakening. We begin with the green secret, the restoration of the nitric oxide pathway. Step 1 is the nitrate loading phase. You must understand that your body is a chemical refinery. When you consume concentrated nitrates from sources like arugula, spinach, or the deep crimson juice of the beet, you are not just eating vegetables. You are providing the raw materials for a gas called nitric oxide. Within 2 hours of ingestion, these nitrates reach your tongue, where specific bacteria convert them into nitrites. As they hit the acidic environment of your stomach and enter your bloodstream, they transform into that miraculous gas. This gas acts as a biological key. It enters the smooth muscle of your rigid, rusted arteries and commands them to relax. This is the vasodilation event. Imagine a narrow, clogged alleyway suddenly expanding into a 4-lane highway. The pressure on your failing venous valves drops instantly. The chemical inflammatory bath that has been marinating your nerves is finally flushed out by a surge of oxygenated, nutrient-rich blood. Step 2 is the mechanical pump. Once the pipes are open, we must activate the motor. While sitting in your chair, the very place where most seniors allow their legs to die, you will perform the soleus push-up. The soleus is a unique muscle. It is your second heart. Unlike your larger power muscles, the soleus does not rely on stored glycogen. It burns blood glucose and fats directly from the stream. As you lift your heels while keeping the balls of your feet planted, you are physically squeezing the deep veins of the leg. This is the bomba muscular. Every repetition is a stroke of a piston, forcing that stagnant, acidic blood upward, past the leaky valves, and back toward the lungs for purification. Step 3 is the fluid inversion. At the end of the day, you must assist the laws of physics. For 15 minutes, you lie back and elevate your legs above the level of your heart. In this position, the hydrostatic weight is reversed. The edema, that protein-rich sludge trapped in your tissues, is pulled by gravity back into lymphatic circulation. You are effectively draining the swamp. As you follow this protocol, a transformation occurs at the cellular level. The nerve ischemia begins to lift, the electrical stabs and the crawling sensations fade because the nerves are no longer suffocating in acid. The invisible chart begins to trend upward. This is the neutral reset. returning your legs to a state where they can support your life rather than drain it. In my decades of practice, I have sat across from thousands of patients who, like you, feel the weight of their years in their very bones. They often bring me the same doubts, the same rationalizations that allow the negligence to continue for just one more month, one more year. Let us address these whispers of the mind in what I call the clinical fact. A common question I hear is, "Dr. Arthur, is it simply my mattress or my shoes? If I just change where I sleep, will the 3 a.m. wake-up call vanish?" This is a dangerous delusion. You are looking at the surface of the lake while the dam is bursting underneath. A mattress cannot fix nerve ischemia. A more cushioned shoe cannot provide the nitrates your endothelium starves for. You are not experiencing a comfort issue. You are experiencing a perfusion issue. Your body is a leaking battery, and no amount of soft fabric will recharge the cells that are suffocating. In a chemical inflammatory bath, others ask, is the damage permanent? Have I waited too long to start the green secret? I tell them what I told Elias. The body has a remarkable capacity for capillarization. Even in a system that has been stagnant for a decade, the introduction of nitric oxide and rhythmic movement can signal the body to build new microvessels. It is like a gardener clearing a clogged irrigation line. Once the water flows, the dormant seeds begin to sprout. However, every day you wait, you are trading away a piece of your functional reserve. You are spending the principle of your health instead of living off the interest. Finally, many ask about the moving at night phenomenon, the restless legs that seem to have a mind of their own the moment you try to rest. They ask if they should just take a sedative. I urge you, do not silence the messenger. That restlessness is your body's desperate, subconscious attempt to pump the motor. Your brain is forcing your legs to move because it senses the acidosis, the stagnant pool of waste that is irritating your nerves. To sedate the movement without fixing the circulation is to turn off the fire alarm while the kitchen is still ablaze. You must understand that health is not the absence of a diagnosis. It is the presence of a reserve. The retirement tragedy is real, and I have seen it break the spirits of the strongest men and women. They worked for 40 years to enjoy the golden years, only to find that their legs have become anchors, keeping them tethered to a recliner and a pharmacy pillbox. The green secret is your chance to break that chain by loading your system with the verde, the arugula, the spinach, the beet. You are choosing to be the architect of your own vascular youth. By performing the soleus push-up, you are refusing to let your second heart fail. This is not merely a tip. It is a clinical necessity for anyone who wishes to walk into their 80s and 90s with the same independence they had in their 50s. This is education and health. It is a roadmap back to the neutral reset. However, my voice is that of a guide, not your personal physician. You must converse with your own doctor if you have diagnosed diseases. If you are on medications, especially for blood pressure or kidney function, or if you are experiencing acute symptoms like sudden swelling in only one leg, do not be the patient who waits for a tragedy to start paying attention to the whispers. The body is a temple, but it can quickly become a prison if the pipes are left to rust. Take back your mobility. Take back your mornings. And above all, remember the lesson of the invisible chart. Don't wait to lose your health to realize its value.